through many, many dimensions, always growing, always expanding, if we choose to. But it's our choice, and that's what I think is important. No one's pulling our strings. It's up to us to make a decision and move on to another reality, another, let's just say, opening for our consciousness to expand and grow.
One of the ramifications of this idea of the afterlife being shaped by expectations and beliefs is that if the afterlife reality can be very similar to your former life, then that means that it's not necessarily a place where you're free and liberated and transformed and healed. You give examples. If you're an inveterate gambler or alcoholic or drug addict, or you've got some other kind of major life issue, that may continue initially, in any case, in the afterlife, until, as you point out, you choose to move beyond it.
Oh, absolutely, because we carry our stuff with us. Just because the body dies, our mind still continues with us. And we carry with us our limits, our fears, our blocks. Remember, a lot of people forget that at its core, all addictions, all, let's just say, issues are psychologically based. There's an addictive personality, for instance. Yes, the physical addiction drops away because the body has died, but not the inherent energy behind it, which is that addictive personality. And that is what continues, I have found. It was shocking to me when I discovered this, and I've witnessed this firsthand. I was basically reporting what I have seen to the best of my ability. And it was shocking to me because, everybody expects, so a lot of people still believe in this idea of angels and clouds and pearly gates. And, unfortunately, because that's all they've been told. And that is not the reality of the afterlife. The afterlife is a continuation of your personal state of consciousness. This is why it is so important for us to work on ourselves, to expand our beliefs, to expand beyond man-made beliefs, actually, and to open ourselves up to our true potential, which is unlimited. There's no limit. And unfortunately, that's not what happens. Most people latch on to belief systems and they carry them with them to the grave and beyond. And of course, what happens is a consensus reality, whether it be Christian or Hindu or Buddhist or whatever you want to make it, whatever your affiliation may be. But your thoughts alone hold you in the reality that you experience. And that's kind of shocking when you realize that, because people don't even realize that they've imprisoned themselves, just like in the physical world. That's how many people have never left their own street where they lived. I mean, how many people have never really stepped outside of their own religion and examined another philosophy? There's billions of people like that. The same mindset continues.
Yeah, and you use the phrase in the book, actually, somewhere, trapped in heaven, which is a really good one, very thought-provoking.
And it's true. People continue as they have in the past. And because the core of their mindset will continue. If you're a follower, you will continue to be a follower of a belief system, for instance, because that's where you're comfortable. People create like this, and I'm not the first. It's been said for many times. People create a box around themselves, and this box is their beliefs, their self-concept. In other words, we carry our limits with us. That's why it's so important, I feel, for us to break free. This is why OBEs are important. OBEs blast you out of that box, because any belief you may have had, after you have an out-of-body experience, you're fully out of your body and you realize it, suddenly the entire universe takes on a different perspective. And you realize, oh my God, I have the ability to be an explorer. There's no limits. I can explore other realities. I can explore other timelines. Imagine this. All of us have the potential to become Christopher Columbus, Leif Erikson. All of us have that ability. And that's why it's so important for us to make these leaps of consciousness. Because if you don't, you will find yourself in a very cloistered environment, surrounded by those that also are of like mind. Because that's the way that everything is consciousness. That's the bottom line. And consciousness that resonates with one another will create a consensus reality of like mind. And unfortunately, all the limits, all the blocks, all the fears are also brought along.
So in terms of expectations and beliefs and belief systems, then take someone like, for example, the atheism crusader Richard Dawkins. If he believes that the afterlife, doesn't exist and he will experience a black void of nothingness, then he may well experience a black void of nothingness.
It's possible. It is very possible that he would experience, if he so, again, I don't know for sure on this, in this case, but I know for a fact. Let me use myself an example. Back in 1971, I considered myself an atheist, but yet I still had an out-of-body experience that blew me wide open. I realized during my first experience, I not only left my body, but I saw an individual standing there observing me. And this whole concept, and I knew it wasn't a physical person. And it was a mind blower, because suddenly all of my cute and what I consider to be logical conclusions of atheism was blown to bits. Because I knew not only that I continued, because I could think rationally, my body is right across the room, but yet I'm standing there thinking rationally. In other words, reality is much more expansive than any concept that we hold. Reality is much more wonderful than anything that we've ever been taught. And I think a lot of times people are just blasted into a new concept of themselves. And it opens up doors very quickly.
Now, in terms of if people are thinking, if we're experiencing such a narrow band, as it were, frequency, bandwidth of reality on this physical earth, then why are we here? And in the book, you do address this issue, that there is actually a purpose to this, that it isn't pointless, that it isn't all just about getting away from here and into the afterlife, that manifestation on earth has a function for us. It's different for different people. And you also address the idea of reincarnation, that sometimes souls return to this plane.
Yes, I look at the physical as a training ground, a dense, temporary training ground of consciousness. And I also feel that as we move inward, the universe becomes more and more thought responsive. And to the point where once we reach into what people would consider, there's not an upper or lower, I like to make clear. I consider it inward journey. As we make our journey inward through our multidimensional self into these more pristine areas, you realize that instant thought creates instant reality. And think about it. Who would you want standing next to you in a reality where every thought, spontaneous thought, conscious or unconscious, becomes instant reality? How many people that would you want next to you? So my point is this. There needs to be a training ground for consciousness to develop self-control, to develop the skills needed to coexist in an environment where things happen instantly. And I feel strongly that the physical and the astral worlds, but especially the physical world, was specially designed to essentially allow the young, or if you wish to call it the young, undisciplined souls or consciousness to exist in an environment where they are more or less cloistered. in a separated and in a slowed down molecular world. And that's what the physical world is. It's a slowed down molecular world where thoughts, let's face it, for us to create, we have to focus. We have to really focus to create. And that's part of the training ground. Each of us is in our own course of training that we have, our higher self has developed.